Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Noisy Neighbours podcast, joined Monday evening by my younger brother, Christian, fresh off a devastating loss to Crystal Palace at the weekend. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, mate, I'm all right. Look, it's been a rough weekend. I don't even know if I'm over it. I think a potential result on Wednesday, I might answer that after that one, and that could pick my spirits up a little bit. But
Is that
yeah,
Spurs? Is that the Spurs United or Bournemouth game?
yeah. Well, both to be fair. I mean, that if we lose to Bournemouth, that really is curtains.
A
But
Bournemouth United double, and the channel will
that
be
would be
gone.
it.
I'm joking.
Yeah, no, facts. Look, no, it was a devastating result. I think the manner in which we went down was similar to that of the form of late, similar to the Southampton game, lifeless, passing around the box, very clueless, bereft of any sort of creativity or ideas. So, yeah, but obviously there was other news which we have come on here to talk about today, which certainly didn't lift my mood in a positive direction whatsoever. So we heard some reports coming out today. I think, was it BBC that broke the initial news?
Yeah, Sammy Mockbell.
Sammy Mockbell, yeah, and he basically said that City are out of the race. They're withdrawing from the race to sign Florian Wirtz due to it being too expensive of a deal. There was figures being quoted around 300 million, but I believe that's euros, so about 250 million pound.
That's. I mean, they're looking at that figure in.
That's total. That's total, right? So that's your wages, his signing on fee, and the transfer fee to Leverkusen, right? So I've got a few thoughts on this because I don't believe this is to do with City deeming that this deal was too expensive for the club. I think that City have gone to the media with that as an excuse. I think Wirtz has chosen Bayern. I think they probably did have that meeting. They maybe felt like he was so much in on the Bayern move. I do not think this is due to his demands or Leverkusen's demands, because they would have been aware of that before the deal started. Don't be so naive to believe that. There was another reporter who actually broke the news that we were interested in the first place and that the meeting took place. And I believe he is actually really highly regarded. He's a bit of a new one, but he's a good source regarding City. He's called Sasha Tavolieri.
Right.
Now, he said he broke this about the same time the BBC came out with all that. He said that Florian Wirtz has chosen Bayern Munich as his next club. The player's wish has been confirmed to Man City officials. Hugo Vianney and his team are now working on Barcelona's Dani Olmo as the plan B, a player that's very much appreciated by Pep Guardiola. Now, look, of course you're going to get different sources. I'm not saying that is 100% correct either. I would lean more to that, though. And I'll give you some reasons as to why I think that. Because if you look at the packages that we have handed out in recent times, it is all we have to go off. So I'll give you a couple of names. Now, we had Omar Marmoush. In fact, no, I'll go with Haaland first, right? So Haaland, actually, with this 10-year contract, that City were very, very proud to boast, I might add, that they'd got him on this 10-year deal. Now, that's a £250 million package. So, and that, by the way, we already had the player. So we weren't signing him, we weren't giving him a signing on fee, we were not paying another club for him. They deemed that was acceptable for Erling Haaland. Now, I'm not saying he's not a top goal scorer. We all know what you get with Haaland, though. He isn't like, in terms of if you're comparing him to an Aguero, he's not footballing-wise up there with the best. I don't think that's an unfair claim. I just think he's an elite goal scorer, and I think he would even know that himself. But City deemed that an acceptable deal. And by the way, that's what's got released, that's how much. We don't know about these hidden payments that sometimes go in, and God knows how much he's got. I believe that the relinquished picture rights and things like that, that amounts to millions. That really bumps the deal. So if you look at that one alone, but then there's a few more. So you've got Josko Vardiol. So his was a £77 million transfer fee, and his wages amount to £52 million over the term of his deal. So that comes to 129 million. Josko Vardiol, right, was bought in as a centre-back, and he's been used as a makeshift left-back, right? So you are talking 120 million pound more has been deemed so outlandish for one of the most coveted centre-attacking mids in world football of recent times. Find hard to believe. Another one, Omar Marmoush, very, very recent. Now, we went mid-season and went to this same league, and we bought an unproven player in Omar Marmoush. I'm not getting at him for, anything of recent times. I do think he has had a good impact overall on the club, but there is a lot of holes in his game that I feel like a lot of City fans don't want to talk about. He has got a bit of a loose touch that he severely needs to improve. And
the fit as well in the team with Haaland and stuff is obviously
the fit, of course, that where positionally he's going to play. Now, I'll give you some numbers with that one. So it's apparently a £78 million contract over the term that's what he's going to earn while he's in Manchester. And it was a £60 million transfer fee, right? So that's 138 million. Now, Omar Marmoush, not many, football fans or anyone, even in the media, no one had his name on their lips at the start of the season. City happily thought 140 million was worth it as a whole deal to go in for him, which is quite risky, I might add. Now,
it's high wages, isn't it? Yeah,
it's high wages, and it's a big transfer fee as well. It's you dipping into a league that, like we spoke about in previous pods, Alex, we've seen that teams have been stung in the past. They've been stung more times than they've got some honey out of that league. We all know that. But City deemed that was fair. So whatever, okay, fair enough. You did your due diligence on that. You believe it was worth it. Now, Florian Wirtz, I believe that to be a much less riskier deal. Now, I just find it very odd that this is the reasoning coming out, and I'd like your opinion on it and where you stand, if you think I'm wrong or if you lean into what I'm saying as well.
Yeah, so what... the weird thing about it is that I think you mentioned an interesting point in there about the comments around Bayern and whether he's just actually rejected City, and I think that there could be some saving face here because you make some good points there. You've compared the deal financially to other deals that City have sanctioned. And also, why was City even interested if they're deeming... And also, clubs control the media quite a lot. And obviously this guy works for the BBC. Now he's like this whole, the deal is worth 300 million. No. What is the fee? What is the salary? That's what we go off. We've never included agent fees in any transfer in history. We always go off two things, and sign-on fees. We never bother with that either, except if it's a free. Yeah. So, what I'm confused about is this article here from the BBC almost feels a bit PR-y from City, where it's like a 300 mil package is too much. Well, no, hang on a minute, right? What's the transfer fee and what's the wages for Wirtz? Is it going to be anything more ridiculous than you thought a week ago or 2 weeks ago or 3 months ago? Where's this surprise come from? And now you're putting out an article where you're including his mum and dad's fucking pockets getting filled with $1 million. Well, hang on a minute. No. This is wrong, this. If it's 150 million, I'll tell you what, Christian, the proof's going to be in the pudding in a few weeks when whoever signs him, that's what we're going to talk about. This 300 million is just almost a figure plucked from thin air. What I want to see is, well, look, Leverkusen have actually said Bayern will have to pay more. We don't want to sell him to Bayern. So if Bayern are signing for 120, I'm looking at City going, well, you could have got him for 100 then. Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, Liverpool's a separate issue here. But say Liverpool go and get him. Well, since when have Liverpool been outbidding City and big dick in these moves? So I think there's an element here of, I don't think it's all financially related, just because I think City knew how astronomical the asking price was 3 months ago. Why even drag this out till now? It makes no sense.
Alex, and another thing, you mentioned some great points there. So just one that I'm going to say about the BBC. Now, they are the one that broke this today. They have been very quiet, I might add, about this deal, and that's Sasha Tavalieri, or whatever his name is. He was the one that actually came out about the meeting, and he got a lot of things right, by the way, about this deal, because he said City were in for him before this meeting took place. Then he reported that the Wirtz family was in Manchester for a meeting with City officials. So he was quite reliable throughout the whole process. I can't say he's got anything wrong. Now, he has come out with nothing to do with that City have been outbidded out this deal, or that they've just gone, now we're out. He said that it's a clear decision by the player and his team that they're going with Bayern, and City have withdrawn because of that reason. BBC didn't cover any of that previous things. So, and also BBC are not a reliable media outlet.
No.
We know that living in England, you do not. If you want to know where your transfer's up to and you're in for a big play, you don't go to BBC Sport gossip column. You really don't head over there. So I really find it strange to believe that it's a British media outlet that comes out with this and breaks it, rather than the tier ones that we've been listening to reliable information from. It seems very odd. And not only, Alex, I'd just like to add, this is the same club that have said we are releasing Kevin De Bruyne because of financial reasons, right? We all know he's on 400 grand a week. So the believed figure for this 250 mil package, I think it needs to be around about 350 grand, 400 grand a week. Right. Well, you said you were getting rid of Kevin De Bruyne because you were freeing up space to make your next marquee signing. That does not add up then when you're saying we're going for the marquee signing and he's asked for exactly what we've freed up in the contract, in the team, in the wage bill. It just doesn't add up to me. None of it adds up.
I don't believe City have walked away because of financial reasons. I think that Wirtz has chosen against it now. Whatever that reason is, I don't know. If he goes to Bayern, I think the answer is pretty clear. Obviously, he's German. They all want to play for Bayern, and that's just basically it. If he goes to Liverpool, now I want to speak to you about this because it feels like that it's between Liverpool and Bayern. Whether you give a 10% chance to Liverpool or not, they are saying they have bought a raffle ticket here with Wirtz. Now, what I will say here is, obviously, you're chasing Liverpool for the first time now in 4 years since they won it under Klopp. However, this time feels like City, like last time, you were in a position where you could immediately launch a counter-attack for the league. Now it feels like you've got a bit of a rebuild on, hence the transfer sort of, links, and obviously the January window just gone.
Yeah.
Now, this is a big moment, I think, in sort of what I'm looking at now in the Prem and how this balance goes. I feel City have always sort of been even when Liverpool have won their 2 league titles, overall City feel like the more dominant club.
Yeah.
I'm not going to use bigger because obviously the City are not as big as Liverpool globally, but as far as a team and a club goes in the present, it always felt like Liverpool were trying to drag you down rather than the other way around. So this is the first time now. This is a big power shift. If Liverpool do go and get him, which feels unlikely, but let's say it does, that to me is, and they are the champions as of this summer. That feels like a big, big power shift to me. It feels like, wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm even looking at this as a United fan going, Liverpool now are the dominant force in England if they went and pulled this deal off. Yeah. Not even just, forget football, I'm just talking emotionally and morally as a fan and as a neutral looking at City and Liverpool. I will see that you've been almost like this. I give you the edge slightly over the last 6 years. Yeah. I think that the balance for the first time is going to go like this. And how do you feel looking at this? If they went and big dicked it and did get his signature, how would you feel like?
Don't think any City fan would disagree with your points there, to be honest. I think the gap, it opens up drastically. Look, we don't know what we're getting in Florian Wirtz. We've not seen him perform in the Prem. That's what you get when you buy a player from overseas. We all know this. We all know the risks it carries. But all you can go off is, look, he has looked good when he's played for Germany, and he's not really a player that I think buying a Timo Werner, who's a goal scorer in Germany, and someone who's stat padded in that league, is a lot riskier than buying a player because his play style looks elite. He wriggles out of tight spaces. He's very neat on the ball. He invents passing lanes. That's a different sort of argument, and I think that should really be thought into a lot more than it's not just like, oh, he got 25 goals, go and sign him. There's a lot less risk attached in that. Yes, it does open up a massive gap, and especially when it's probably a good way to transition into the next point. My next worry on this is that there's been names bandied round that City are going to go for as alternatives. Now, one of them has been Danny Olmo, and the other one being Gibbs White. By the way, I'd like to say an apology to you because you were right about saying Gibbs White with the 10, because I've recently seen a lot of things that City actually, I do have him in mind as the number 10 position, which makes it way more concerning than I even was, having been a part of a midfield. If he's like spearheading your midfield, oh my God, That's pissed me off even more than I already was, and I already wasn't happy with it.
Well,
So yeah,
he's definitely down as the 10 now with Wirtz
of
out of
course
the
he is,
picture.
of course he
Unless
is.
you, yeah, but yeah.
So the two names that I'd like to discuss, well, three actually. One being in the number 8 position is Tajani Reinders. Now, me and you both like the look of him, to be fair, and I actually have got a really positive outlook on him. He looks available for a good price, 60 million-ish. I don't think he'd command silly wages. He seems to be happy to join City from the journos that I've been reading about, which makes sense. He looks like he'd fit very well into a Pep mould. Perfect replacement for Ilkay Gundogan. Great on the ball. Looks powerful when he's driving at defences. Can get a goal from outside the box. He looks a great addition to the squad. Now, that one I'm very impressed with. We'll see, and we'll keep you guys updated as that, goes on, that deal progresses.
Oh, I like Reinders, yeah.
However, yeah, I mean, you give him a shout, didn't you, in the when we was watching the Euros, and you were
I liked him last summer. Obviously, it's you're hesitant with international tournaments, but I thought he was their best player at Holland, and obviously they did get to the semis and obviously lost to England. But I thought he was impressive. So I'm not over, and he's had a very good season by all accounts. Not that I sit down to many Milan games, but I think he's a good player, and for you, I think you're now looking at, right, I want to get some players that we actually have scouted and won, and now let's not go and have our pants pulled down just because we've got money on the hip and we're desperate.
And that whole English tax bullshit.
The problem is with Gibbs White is it feels like you have scouted him and he is sort of identified. I mean, look, the only thing you can say with this is you'll have to see it from my perspective. I mean, if you think this is closing the gap with Liverpool, I will be stunned if... Look, I can't say any more than I just don't rate the guy that highly. And that's basically it. I think he's okay. I think he's benefited from a... How often does a big team sign from a smaller team in England? And look, they've come 6th, 7th or whatever, but they've been dotting around relegation really. And he was at Wolves before this. It's not like he's 20 and he's just come through the ranks at Forest.
No, he sort of sidestepped. Yes, I know they've progressed a lot. Which it wasn't like...
Absolutely fine, but think about... I tell you what, you list all of them. Well, you've had some yourself. Calvin Phillips, Jack Grealish. These sort of players. You remember, like, back in the day, Chelsea used to love it. Wright Phillips. Who did the Drinkwater from Leicester.
And eventually, when
Scott Parker. You usually get them in Jan, don't you? You usually go in Jan and go and get the team that's 15's best player, and it very rarely works out like that.
No, exactly, Alex. There's some rare occasions where it works, but we all knew, like, the Leicester one is a bit of an anomaly. We all knew they won the league because they had an unbelievable winger in Riyad Mahrez, an unbelievable midfielder in Kante, and Jamie Vardy was popping up top. So... we all knew the reasons, and when they dropped off, Mahrez was whinging and didn't play for a while after he's moved and go for his City. We all knew that deal would work. We knew Mahrez's level. He's an elite player. This is not that. And with Gibbs White, if we're on him now, Alex, so as a 10 at City, right, even if I'm wrong and he turns out okay, he does go up maybe a level, maybe 2, he still does not move this club into a direction which I want it to be in. And I'm talking winning trophies, challenging for Prem titles, challenging just Liverpool again, being an elite top 4 club. Alex, I don't even think he makes us that. This is where I'm so concerned. I don't think that signing can even... I don't think it can be a success. And I feel sorry for Gibbs White because it's not him making the figures up. But Forest are going to demand premium. He's English, he had a half decent season, and this just seems to be 100 mil price tag now when this happens. That at least with the Grealish, this will annoy me so much more than the Grealish one, because at least Grealish at the time, it was everyone was a bit like it's a big pickup for City. They had Sterling at the time, who was sort of coming to his end. It looked like it made sense in a way, and people were like, Pep's going to make Grealish better. We know it's not gone the way we all thought it could have. But it made more sense than this Gibbs White shit that I'm seeing. And I think, and not only that, Alex, going from a link from Florian Wirtz to then saying, don't worry, Gibbs White is the next man in line. Alex, that's like saying, don't worry, I've split up with Dua Lipa, but I've got Ailey Cropper on speed dial.
No, I agree. I mean, Also, I just want to talk about the situation around City at the minute and where you are as a team. You're locked in with Haaland, which is not a bad thing. However, it does also mould the rest of the attack and how you need to play. We've seen the last few games is that just from outside looking in, from a United fan's perspective, what's happening with Haaland this season and recently. I appreciate he's been injured, but he's only around the 20 goal mark. I think it's just simply down to the wingers aren't as good as the ones you've had, and De Bruyne was the one that was creating for everything towards the back end of last season for him. Now De Bruyne has regressed considerably. He's now leaving the club. What are you going to do now? Are you going to put in Gibbs White? Gibbs White has to be so good. The reason Haaland got all them goals is not because the wingers were really that good. It's because De Bruyne was so good, and Gundogan was still very good, and Rodri was still very good. Now you've got, I can't hang my hat on Doku, Savinho and Foden at the minute, and you're bringing me Gibbs White as the De Bruyne upgrade that's going to get him 50 goals. I don't see it. And I'm not having like you just said, I want to lump all this at Gibbs White's door because this is as much of a Gibbs White issue as it is a Foden, a Savinho and a Doku issue, and Grealish. It's like, you can't just plug and play now because they aren't providing fuck all. We just saw Southampton and Palace. You didn't score against either of them. And the wingers were shit. And De Bruyne's we commented on the watch along on Saturday. Yes, it wasn't his best game, but he was the only one trying.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So De Bruyne's gone now. So what are you going to give me? You're going to give me a Forest number 10 and my wingers are going to be this bad. Because I tell you what, Haaland, he won't crack 20 next year if this carries on. If you go Gibbs White and don't sign another winger, I don't know what Haaland's game looks like for you.
Alex, you're so right in everything you've said there. And Kevin De Bruyne was covering for holes in the team. And the main holes, like you say, were the wingers we have regressed so far in them positions.
Yeah.
That these are the worst wingers we have had going back to like Jesus Navas days.
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time ago. That's like Manuel Pellegrini, man. That's 2014 in that era. We're talking a decade back. Over a decade ago. We have regressed severely. Now, Gibbs White, for this deal to make sense, or even 80 million, for this deal to make sense, he has to come in and he has to be, I'm not saying of a level of Kevin De Bruyne, but very close to it, because if we don't sign any wingers, it's all on Gibbs White to make sure Haaland pops, like you said. Now, I've not heard any, weirdly, all the rumours seem to be around City with the Reinders, Olmo, Gibbs White, and obviously Wirtz. Wirtz is not happening. I've not heard anything about wingers, which is severely concerning because even if you sign Reinders, and even if it isn't Gibbs White, who are you signing then? The Florian Wirtz one took a lot of pressure off because it's like, well, actually, he is elite. Yeah. And who knows? He could come in and be at a prime KDB level. I'm not saying he could. I'm not saying he would be. I don't ever think he would. I'm just saying there was actually a question there whether he could. Now, with Gibbs White, no one with a pair of eyes and a brain in their head is going, there's potential that he gets to De Bruyne level. No, there's not. We've watched him play. He's not going to suddenly turn into a different player altogether, and he turns into this ridiculous beast that we've never known that was in the Prem. No, he's not.
No, I totally agree, and I mean, I just want to sort of mention as well, like just echo the Haaland conversation, and I mean, I've not got the breakdown of numbers, but I feel like he was on about 8 goals after 3 games this season.
Yeah,
I don't want to give you that statistic because he might not have been.
No, Alex, it was ridiculous. It was, he got
2 hat-tricks and a brace, didn't he? It was 8 and 3.
I'm sure it was something mad like that,
Okay, right. I don't want to do it exactly, but let's just go with his total at the minute. He's got 21 league goals in 29 games. Now, this is Haaland as a Manchester City striker. 36 in 35, 27 in 31, 21 in 29. Also, this is another big one as well, Christian. The assists, 8, 5, 3. Erling Haaland's got 3 assists this year. Now, you might just think, well, I'm not bothered about that. He's not there to do that. But you know what that tells me? That the level of the attack is dropping. It's dropping considerably because he's gone. He's literally... Haaland is not any different to the player you signed. What has happened is De Bruyne has... What you're actually seeing is Haaland's stats and De Bruyne's physical ability are actually hand in hand.
There's a correlation,
Exactly, and also you've got to chuck Bernardo and Gundogan in there. Obviously, Gundogan literally left. Bernardo is in the same trajectory. He's been going on a downhill really as well. And then Mahrez left as well somewhere after Haaland's first year. So this is the thing that it's like, right? Well, we were looking at Haaland here. We got him for another 9 years, right? And you're giving me Gibbs White. Well, okay, if you're giving me Gibbs White, I need Lamine Yamal on the right wing then.
Yeah.
Serious, and that's impossible because you're never going to be able to pull that deal off. But I'm just making an example of the rest. You don't be handing me Savinho and Doku. And I appreciate Guardiola has to take. I'm sure he signed off on these deals at the least. But from a City fan's perspective, like you said, it's like, well, we've got Haaland, but the three behind him, if you go 4-2-3-1 or whatever it is, they're almost more important than Haaland at this point because if them three are shit, I don't think I'm going to
get to him. We don't get as far as Haaland if all them three are wank. Which we're looking at. We're looking at Savinho, Doku, and Gibbs White. Alex, I'm being serious when I say this. For me, you are looking at between 4th position and 7th. Seriously. I'm being serious. That's honestly where I put them three in a row.
Speaking to someone who's watched their club decline into the bottom half, and I'm not suggesting you're anywhere near that, but you're right. These 6th place finishes, they were this is what happened to United. It kept dotting in with, Giggs, we're not replacing Giggs, we've got him. We're not replacing Scholes, we've got him. And you keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going, and then all of a sudden you're 6th, and then you get a little boom back to 3rd. And this is, look, I don't know what the power shift is going to be like with Liverpool. I don't think they'll get Wirtz, but they've already replaced Trent. I appreciate we don't know what Frimpong's going to look like. They've replaced Robertson, Kirkes, apparently. I think that's nearly done at Bournemouth. So you'd say 2 of their weakest positions right now because they've literally not got a right back, or it's Bradley. And Robbo was like obviously flogging him like a dead horse this year, weren't they? In the title charge. So you've got them 2, and apparently Liverpool want a striker and a number 10. And the way they're going, and apparently they've got loads of money as well.
Yeah, I can see them going striker. I honestly can't see the Wirtz one.
I can't.
It's not because Michael was pulled out. I just don't.
It would be a huge statement in more ways than one, wouldn't it? It would be like
the only way I see them doing it is if they completely go down like this, like a bit of a Firmino route, and they go false 9. But for me, Wirtz is not a false 9 because you will not get the best out of him slinging him in a false 9 because he's best creating situations for a possible false 9. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't see that would work, and I don't think they will do it.
I'd probably go 95% Bayern, 5% Liverpool.
Yeah, I do think Bayern will probably get it.
From your perspective, City are 0% now, whereas a week ago we thought they were about 30-40%.
That's dead in the water, isn't it? But Alex, there was just another one that I just wanted to bring up related to these deals and this domino that's been happening. So Danny Olmo is another name that's been brought up. Now, I'm not going to take the credit for this, right? Because I jumped on an LB stream earlier today, and he made some great points. So Danny Olmo has played 1,600 minutes in the last 3 seasons. To put that into perspective, Rodri played 4,000, right, in 1 year. He's one of his best ever seasons. Now, I think if you are getting him, you are relying on the medical team to fix this situation because that is disastrous. And if, by the way, he did a breakdown and went into the injuries, Alex, it's disastrous. And he's not out for a week. He's got muscle after muscle after muscle. It's 36 days, 52, 30. Again, it's like 2-3 months at a time that he's out for. He's never fit. So for me, that deal, unless you're going to pay 30 million for him, which they're not going to accept because they paid 60. So unless you get him for a very cheap price and you believe you can fix this disaster of a situation with him, that I would not go near it because let's face it, Barca are going to ask for 80 million for him.
And he's just alright, he's not like moving mountains, Danny Olmo, is he?
I do like Danny Olmo, but yeah, I agree. Well, Alex, if you're saying Olmo or bloody Gibbs White, I'd
stay away from Gibbs White. Stinks of a bad buy, that. And look, time will tell on that, Christian. But I mean, look, I don't know what is going on. I mean, you've got so many moving parts, and you can't, as a fan, from your perspective, you can't even really just look at the incomings and outgoings because you've got this time tomorrow, you are hopefully just about to beat Bournemouth and scrape top 5. That's where you're at the minute. You can't even be looking at next season yet because you are in the balance for Champions League qualification. I mean,
Alex, if you go, you're letting Wirtz go. If you want a challenge next year, you need to go and sign Reinders. You need to go and sign, if you're going to gamble with a number 10 we've not really heard of, pray it's not Gibbs White, but if you're going to go that route, you need to go and sign Rodrigo from Real Madrid or something in that ilk. I'm not even joking. Yeah. That's the only way you put yourself back in contention because currently that front three is not getting. I'm telling you, Doku and Savinho have not shown me. Savinho more only because he's a better overall footballer than Doku. So he can progress more. Doku is exactly what you're going to get. He's not going to get any better than this. He's a shit finisher. He doesn't know what he's doing when he gets past his man. He's erratic as fuck. His IQ's low. His speed is ridiculous. And that's all you're ever going to get with him. So off the bench, yeah, he could possibly do a job. Like we did win a title with him, but he didn't play a fucking key role in it, did he? And that's why we won the title. If he was playing every fucking week and we were relying on him, we wouldn't have won it. It was because we had people covering these holes like De Bruyne. So you need to fix this situation. And this is where this has annoyed me so much. Me and you spoke, it was a week or 2 weeks ago. I said, you're letting KDB go. And I've not got an issue with a huge issue after watching like the level he potentially is at now. I'm not deeply concerned even if he does stay in the Prem. I wouldn't like it. But I do think he's at a time in his career where things have just fell. However, you're letting a guy go, you're freeing up on the wage bill. What now are we doing to replace him? I said you need a big name. Make sure you have done your scouting and you know the guy. They should have known the fucking guy, Alex, before they even went to De Bruyne and said, you're not staying. And what concerns me, that guy appeared to be Florian Wirtz, and they've just said, we're not doing it anymore. So, hang on. So what are you saying then? You've got another guy? You've got another guy that wasn't the guy, and now he is the guy, and that appears to be Gibbs White. That's hugely concerning. You're replacing our best ever player with Morgan Gibbs White. Is that what I'm being told from my club? Because I tell you what, that stinks like United, and the way the reason United have got in this mess is because they had an elite side, make no mistake, one of the best sides we've ever seen. But slowly it was like, oh, Van Persie's gone, a donut comes in. Oh, we've asked another one, another donut comes in. And the next minute, you've got a team full of fucking donuts. And we are severely close to it becoming that way. And I tell you what, the Gibbs White one, that gets you dangerously close to that level.
It's mediocre. It's mediocre. He's an average. He's an average player, and Forest, he's in this position because Forest have been better as a team. The defence have been better. They have had a good season, but I don't think he's not done a Riyad Mahrez at Leicester.
No.
I know Kante's a different player, but he's not elevated them to the level them two did. Like if you went and got Jamie Vardy, that would have been a great signing.
Yeah.
In 2017, I'd have been I mean, maybe at the time I might have gone a bit risky, but look, he scored 200 goals for fucking Leicester at the weekend. He got his 200th.
Yeah.
So this to me doesn't feel like that. Look, I'll be the first to hold my hands up if he comes in and starts ripping it up for City. But like how we started the pod, City will have known the fee for Wirtz. To come out now and go, it's too much. No, the wording of that tweet was actually, there's not enough value for money in it. Well, why were you bothered anyway then? Because you knew the figure. We've seen 150 million.
There's no value in any fucking deal, is there? None of them make sense.
I mean, look, you're in this position because the market is quite weak and teams just keep falling on stuff. Look at Liverpool. Liverpool haven't gone and signed anyone and won the league. It's just they kept their best players and they just ended up winning the league over a load of other shit in the Prem.
Yeah.
And fair play to him. And God, the way things are looking, they might do it again next year. I mean, fuck me if they get Wirtz. Good God.
I think, Alex, the thing for me, I don't mind a slow rebuild. Look, I'm not a greedy fan. At the end of the day, my club has enjoyed its most dominant time in Prem history. But if that means we have to, do a slow rebuild and get the right players in, and that means we have to finish fourth next year, and we're not going to be the powerhouse that we've been, I don't mind that. Yeah. I really don't. What I'm pissed off at is like, we're getting rid of De Bruyne. We've got we were sort of led to believe, not in as many words, but they have a target in mind. And that is pretty obvious who that target was. That today has just completely fell. The window's not even fucking opened, and that's gone. So it's then just seems like, we're going to rush into this Gibbs White thing. And the fee that they're going to command, I mean, they're not going to. They paid 40. They're not going to accept 58 million for Gibbs White, are they? Which is probably which would be a fairish. I mean, I'd say he's a £50 million player personally. In this
thinks of in 6 months' time, we're going to look back at this conversation and go, there wasn't value in the Wirtz deal apparently, but there was in the 75 million Morgan Gibbs White deal, and he'll be on 5 goals at Christmas, maybe even less, and that's where it is. Put it this way: if I was in City's perspective and they really had nowhere to go with this number 10, I would run it back with Foden and just see if he had anything left for us.
100%.
Obviously, that his little cameo on Saturday, he certainly isn't putting his hand up in class, playing like that and coming on and doing nothing in the FA Cup final. But Phil Foden has shown enough to go, I can look, if we can get him back, don't spend 100 million on Gibbs White. I mean, look, even if Foden has nothing left, which I think we all hope he hasn't, don't spend 100 million on someone. Like you said, this is exactly it with United. It's the 75 mil Casemiro situation. Don't get Frenkie de Jong. We lost 4-0 to Brentford.
Who's available?
Just get fucking anyone. Do you remember it was ridiculous? Arnautovic was getting mentioned.
Yeah, who wants to sell to us, basically?
Absolute chaos. And look, Casemiro has been okay, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things. But a 4-year, 300 grand a week for a 30-year-old Brazilian, and 70 odd mil, which he was very expensive. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to just stay pat. Look at Liverpool. Liverpool didn't win the league for 4 years in a row. Last year they didn't even spend a penny, did they?
No.
Didn't even they just watched City win 4 straight, and they actually stayed pat, and then they won one, and now they actually look better set than maybe all the other contenders. Like sometimes it's good to, and Vajana, I don't know what you think on maybe one for another day, this Christian, but Vajana, he seems a bit volatile based on what we're seeing so far. It seems a bit, January was just berserk. It just wasn't. It was not what we've come to see with City. It was.
Well, Jan actually wasn't him, to be fair. But...
Oh, was it right? Okay,
no,
fair.
no.
But I'll take that back then. But yeah, I mean, I think just as a club, January was a bit nutty because it didn't really get you anywhere, and I don't know. Would you have said you'd be worse off now? I mean, I suppose maybe you are clinging to top 5. So I suppose if you're going to say to me we'd have come 8th, then yeah, I guess the 200 mil was worth it. But
yeah, well, it's strange. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. It was erratic in January. You know, there's still question marks. Do I think Marmoush a good signing? Yes, I think it has the potential to be one. Do I think he carries the complete right profile for the way we're currently playing? No, he doesn't. Because we're ultimately playing front 3, and Marmoush doesn't look very good on the wings. So then it leaves you.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to? Are you going to go Marmoush 10 then? Yeah, but we haven't seen enough from him at 10, and he's not a Kevin De Bruyne replacement. He would not get the best out of Haaland because technically, you could say he's a 10, but he's not a great passer. He's not the cleanest of dribblers. He just will get goals. He seems to have the knack of being in the right place at the right time, and he is quick. But his touch isn't good. If you add all these things together, Alex, that's not. We're going to put him in De Bruyne's position. Surely that's not the idea.
What does Haaland need? He needs
service.
Crosses.
He needs elite level service.
He needs crosses. He needs early crosses. And I don't just naturally mean like lumping it in. I mean even on like a sort of a semi-transition ball into the back post, De Bruyne-esque.
Not only that, even the balls on the break. Someone that has the ability. Like, did you remember Haaland's first game? You were actually out in Manchester, and it was West Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
And it was them 3 balls. Look, they've overcommitted a little bit. Yeah. Haaland frees himself up, running behind, someone that has the potential to play that pass in. Currently, we've got no one that can do that. Marmoush certainly isn't that guy. And that's nothing on him. I'm just saying, these are all worrying signs that we've been buying players that don't really fit the current mould. Whether Pep is thinking, I'm going to change this completely. But then I don't think he is, because if you're saying Florian Wirtz was your guy, you were very much staying with the same sort of idea that you've had, especially when Reinders was a clear replacement for Gundogan.
He looks a bit lost, Pep, to me.
Mate, I'll be honest, this is the first time I think I've seen Pep look a bit bereft of ideas, and he looks a bit, listen, and I'm not saying this, but do you remember when Klopp came to that time and he was big enough to admit, look, I'm tired with all this shit. And do you know what? It's nothing on them. how taxing must these be?
Yeah.
And Pep's had it well worse than Klopp, by the way, as well. Fucking hell. He's been hammered in the media. You spend too much. You're going out of the Champions League. Everyone piling on him. Every time we were unsuccessful in the Champions League, he was getting fucking lumped on.
Yeah.
The pressure to then keep winning domestically and the Prem, it is tiring. I hope he can go again. I really do. And I know he's had a lot of things going on in his personal life as well. I just hope Pep's got enough left in the tank and that he thinks he is the guy that can rebuild this club. Because undoubtedly, I do not, if anyone listening to this and you might not have seen anything before, I am not by any means saying I want Pep out. I'm so far from it. I want Pep to be the guy to rebuild the squad because he's the best guy in world football to rebuild it. But he needs to get it right and he needs to be in the best space personally to do it. And that's all my thoughts are on that one. But I think
it's just, I mean, that's the thing. In a way, the Haaland signing, you get the treble. So really, even if you do nothing for 10 years, it was worth it because that's set in stone forever now. An achievement like that is rare, especially for an English club. But it is now becoming that thing of we've got to build the team around him perfectly. And this is the thing I'm looking at. You mentioned about that West Ham game where in the transition moments. Now, you look at what Palace and Southampton have done in the last 2 weeks. They have gone, these lot can't cross. They can't really create overloads in the wide areas, and the wingers aren't that dangerous. And De Bruyne hasn't got it anymore, really, and he's leaving the club anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit in so much, we will take all them crosses. Think of the only chance he had at the weekend was a cross. He needs crosses, and you've got no one that can cross. And you wonder why the goals and the stats are doing this. And then you're looking at Gibbs White, and you obviously De Bruyne going. I mean, and Silva's going, and Gundogan's going, and it's like, well, where's his service going to come from? Are you going to wave a magic wand and Savinho learn how to cross? Because what we've seen so far, he can't do anything at the end of a dribble. And
Savinho at the start of the season, I was at least saying he's got raw talent because he when he bursts onto a player, players struggle to deal with him. Now he's like not got that, which is really concerning. He looks like a bit lost when he's squaring up a man. He's not beating his man as much now, whereas that was a given. I was actually moaning that he did nothing after it. Now he can't even do the first bit that he was getting right initially. And another one, Alex, just to go back a little bit before we finish. So you mentioned Phil Foden. Now, we're buying in a position, and if we do go and get Gibbs White for, dare I say it, close to the 100 mil mark, then is a Phil Foden, it's just a question for any City fans that do listen, is a Phil Foden in that position, if we do just double down and go, we're going to give Foden the responsibility of the number 10 and give him what he wants and see what he can do, does signing a Gibbs White, is that even Gibbs White is at his level and Foden at his current, is Gibbs White, does he elevate it much? Does he move the needle?
Does he start?
Yeah, because I'm going to say, I think Gibbs White is very much beneficiary of, look, Forest have had this anomaly season. However, they have dipped down a little bit. And I don't think if Gibbs White had been in like a Liverpool or a City, I think would they have been more mentioned in the same ilk as like Curtis Jones, for instance, or someone like that. I don't think you would really be saying this guy's £100 million player. No one at Liverpool's saying that about fucking Jones. We're not saying that about Foden currently because of his last year. But Foden's stats are pretty similar to fucking Gibbs White, man.
I think he's more Curtis Jones than Florian Wirtz. I think that's fair to say. But I mean, this is the thing. This is the hilarious thing. Yeah, great, go and sign him. Has he made an appearance for England yet? He doesn't even make the squad. And I know there was this uproar a few months ago, but I think a lot of football fans were like, you know what? Does he deserve to get the squad? Who are you leaving out for him?
Alex, just a question, right? So, and I'm not just saying this, I'm a big fan. Anyone who wants to go watch the Palace watch-along when I was fuming in the first 10 minutes, just go and watch that. It's funny anyway, if you're an opposition fan. But I was saying Eze's the guy I want to sign. He then, funnily, went up and scored about 15 seconds after I made that statement. But I still stand by that. And not just because of the cup final. I've thought this all year. If you're going to go and sign from England and you want a number 10, I don't mind going getting Eze. Going signing Gibbs White just fucking winds me up.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You upgrade Eze or Doku, Savinho or Doku to Eze is better than... Look, essentially what you're doing is you're basically picking Gibbs White over Foden here in the 10 role. I don't know if the right wing days are over for Foden. I don't know. I honestly just don't even know what to make of Foden at the moment. But I'm just saying that if you're looking at your squad right now, and you go, let's say, right, tomorrow's a big game for City, right? Huge game. Your season is on the line, really, here now. Certainly after Saturday. Hypothetically say, there you go, there's Morgan Gibbs White. Man City, you've got him for the game tomorrow. You've seen how the last 2 league games are played out. The FA Cup and the Southampton game. Would you literally be sat there in the dressing room and go, I'm going to start Morgan Gibbs White instead of Phil Foden in that number 10? You pick Foden. So
Alex, even the current scenarios of how bad the cup would be, the joke is if we had him at our dispense, I'd be there going, I won't throw him in. So what do we do? We go signing him then?
Yeah.
That's our worst. As City fan, he's going, I wouldn't probably put him in for that one. Well, why the fuck are we going signing him? It's
I wouldn't
stupid.
even bring him on. No, 100%. I definitely get it. But yeah, man, what a weird turn of events. Obviously, City pulling, whatever's happened. Wirtz has either, give him the cold shoulder, or City have said there's no value in the deal, but then are also flirting with Gibbs White. So I'm interested to see the truth of this. It'll probably come out that he just wanted Bayern and City a saving face and a bit of a PR. There you go, mate. You put this out in the news.
That's certainly my opinion. Listen, if anyone else has got any different opinions, hit us up in the comments. You give your reasons. It's fair enough. Look, I can't base my point on complete evidence. I was not sat in that meeting that happened, so I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying, with the things I backed up, with the deals that we've done, and the way City tend to move, I feel like it's enough to take into consideration that is more PR bollocks than it is a decision from the club that we're going to be the bigger guys here, and we don't think this makes sense. Because again, with one more thing before we cut it, with us doing that, I tell you what, that puts so much pressure on the next name. So if it is Gibbs White, then I don't want to see that we're paying him $250 a fucking week then, and then we make an 88 million fee or something mad like that. If we go and drop near to 100 mil on Gibbs White and we pay him astronomical wages, well, you're not running with that excuse of the other one didn't make sense, because that one's fucking madness now. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have both. If you're going to go and sign Eze for 40 million because you get him at a cut price from Palace for whatever reason, and you give him 150 grand a week, at least then you've vindicated yourselves in your argument. But City aren't going to do that. We all know what they're going to fucking do. They're going to go and pump it on someone else that probably won't make sense. So then your argument's foiled. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know. I'd go for Ryan Cherky, really. But I mean, he said
you were telling me he's shit until that bloody second leg.
But for 20 million, I'm more saying for the price with Cherky. I don't think he's actually.
Is that the fee they want? Is that all? Why do they only want 20 million? Is he in a contract last year or something?
I don't even know, but he's said he's going, but so I don't know if something's lined up. That could be like maybe
he looks a player. Look, I don't. Could be like Labour. Ain't going to get us back to where I want to be, but do I put him in a similar thing to Gibbs White? Probably. Yeah, I mean, the joke is, from what I saw in that one game, he looks better than Gibbs White, and they're saying they want 20 mil, man.
Yeah.
So
okay, well, let's see how this progresses. We've got a watch along tomorrow. We've got Bournemouth. Listen to this. Please join us. It's going to be great. Another biggie, and then obviously the huge one on Wednesday from United. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's our cup final, isn't it? It's a shame we didn't win the fucking actual cup final, though. Maybe we should have turned up in that one instead of saying we've got another fucking 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my word. Southampton, Palace, Bournemouth. Wow. If you gaff all 3, my word.
Oh, I'm not having it. But anyways, mate, honestly, anyone listening, we really appreciate your like and sub, please. But also, we have got a gargantuan week of watch-alongs. Look, City, it really is joking apart. It is now our season on the line. United are literally in a cup final and potentially, dare I say it, can eclipse our season if they win that game of football. As much as it pains me as a City fan to say it, facts are facts. Football is based on trophies won. Not how did we look over a 38-game period. It's based on did you win. And ultimately, United are going to earn a Champions League spot if they win, and they're going to win a Europa League. We seriously need to take a long, hard look at ourselves because it's it's a drop.
You want to take a leaf out of our book, lose every league game and win a European trophy?
Yeah, certainly don't take their bloody methodology, but you get my point.
But Gibbs White is taking a leaf out of our book. That's the hilarious thing. I'm surprised we're not rivaling you for the deal.
Yeah, I know. Can you please?
Are we going to throw our ride?
Oh, is it one last Pep run back? Is it one last cheeky and Pep run back where they go in for a Fred and they make you buy him, or a fucking Sanchez?
Maguire, yeah.
Have we got one more left in us?
One more, yeah. Oh, God, that would really finish me off, that. Yeah, all right, Christian. I'll catch you on the next one, mate. Thank you for listening, everyone. Watch along tomorrow, watch along Wednesday. Hit us up. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.